Two numbers, 4:22 a.m., 239 souls. One plane, vanished. A ping, then silence. No wreckage, no black boxes, no final signal. 11 years. A global enigma, the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines. Flight 370, a Boeing 777 that simply stopped being where it should have been. But what if, just when the world had almost accepted the ending, something new surfaced? Today, new evidence. Not debris washing ashore. Not rumors on social media. Not an endless swirl of speculation. New, scientifically grounded analytical data. Re-examined, remodeled, rewritten. A different trajectory. A signal pattern previously overlooked. A collision of physics, probability, and ocean dynamics that could redraw where MH370 must be, if current understanding is incomplete. Today, we ask, what if the last known path of MH370 isn't where we thought? What if the target zone for the wreckage has been wrong? What if there's a piece of the story that, until now, no one has dared to look at this way? A rekindled search is about to begin. New technology, advanced robotics, and the most refined probability models ever assembled. But first, what happened that night? How did Flight 370 fall off every grid, every radar, every network? And most importantly, why is this new evidence different from everything before? It started like any other overnight flight, a routine journey, Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. A 6-hour hop across the South China Sea. The kind of flight tens of thousands take every day without a second thought. Inside the cabin, soft lighting, blankets folded, trays cleared. A newborn asleep in a mother's arms. Two graduate students comparing photos of the Great Wall they planned to visit. Crew members whispering at the galley, counting service trays before descent. Normal, predictable, peaceful. At 12:42 a.m. local time, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 lifted from runway 32R, climbing into clear night air. Radar returns clean. Weather, calm. Communications, routine. At 1:07 a.m., a system called ACARS, Aircraft Communications Addressing and Reporting System, sent its final transmission. Engine data nominal, altitude stable. 14 minutes later, the pilot's voice, calm and professional. Good night, Malaysian 370. Then, nothing. No distress call, no emergency code. The aircraft vanished from secondary radar screens as if erased, slipping between two air traffic control zones at exactly the moment of handover. While controllers tried to re-establish contact 2,700 kilometers north, the arrival board at Beijing Capital still flashed on time. Families waited, watching minutes tick into hours. Phones rang into silence. One father redialed again and again, believing if he pressed the number fast enough, the plane would answer. By sunrise, flight operations had declared the aircraft missing. Within hours, a multinational search began, first in the South China Sea, then west toward the Malacca Strait, where military radar had caught a ghost echo veering back across the peninsula. That was the first impossible turn. A maneuver too controlled to be random. It meant the aircraft was still flying, but in the wrong direction. Search teams are expanding the area. Officials confirm no debris found. Families demanding answers. The search grid ballooned, from hundreds to thousands to millions of square kilometers. The Indian Ocean, deeper, colder, less mapped than the surface of Mars, became the world's largest question mark. Weeks later, engineers discovered something extraordinary, an automated digital whisper, a handshake between the aircraft and a communications satellite high above the equator. No voice, no data, just a ping every hour, like a heartbeat in the dark. Those pings drew a series of curved lines, Inmarsat arcs, each one a ghostly footprint of where the plane might have been. It was the first real clue, and the beginning of a new kind of search, one done with equations instead of eyes. Days became months. Months became years. A wing flaperon washed ashore on Réunion Island in 2015. Then fragments in Madagascar Mozambique, and Tanzania. Proof the aircraft had ended in the ocean, but not where. For families, every discovery reopened the wound. Each scrap of metal a confirmation and a contradiction. How could such vast technology vanish so completely? The question outlived the search itself. Budgets expired, hope thinned, official operations were suspended. But not everyone stopped. Some scientists kept recalculating trajectories on their own computers. Some pilots replayed radar logs frame by frame. And somewhere in that persistence, the seeds of new evidence began to grow. After 11 years, fresh eyes, new models, and a decade of technological progress have turned back toward the deep. What they found inside that data is what brings us here today. To understand the new evidence, you have to understand the ghost trail it left behind. Flight 370 didn't just disappear, it left fingerprints, invisible ones, etched into space. Tiny bursts of digital handshake signals between the aircraft and a satellite orbiting over the Indian Ocean. These were called Inmarsat pings. Not voice, not data, just a heartbeat, every hour. Each ping recorded as a burst timing offset, or BTO, a measure of how long it took for the signal to travel to the satellite and back. From that, investigators could map a series of arcs, curves of possible positions across the planet. Those arcs became the only map of MH370's final hours. But they were never exact. They were mathematical shadows, and any small error in timing or Doppler shift could mean hundreds of kilometers of difference in the final position. For years, that uncertainty has been the ocean's perfect disguise. Now, over a decade later, researchers have gone back to those same arcs and asked a new question. What if we combine them with everything the ocean itself has told us since then? In 2024, independent teams began integrating drift data from over 70,000 ocean buoys, deep-sea current simulations, and acoustic detections from undersea microphones positioned across the Indian Ocean basin. When those streams were cross-referenced with updated satellite Doppler correction algorithms, a new convergence zone emerged, a narrow band thousands of kilometers north of the previous search grid. It's not speculation, it's physics. The new model doesn't replace the old one. It refines it, tightening the error margins, removing the noise. For the first time, we can account for how wind, wave, and Coriolis forces pushed surface debris across years of motion. And the result? A recalculated impact corridor that suggests the aircraft may have come down in a zone previously dismissed as too deep, too rugged, too complex to scan efficiently. Even more intriguing, acoustic sensors from an Indian Ocean hydrophone array detected an underwater acoustic anomaly at 049 UTC, matching the moment the final satellite ping ceased. It wasn't a confirmed crash signal, but its frequency and duration matched what one oceanographic model described as consistent with a large impact on the seafloor. No one could prove it then, but with new synchronization models, that same blip now aligns with the new projected zone, almost perfectly. So what does that mean? It means the ocean itself may have recorded MH370's final moment, and only now are we learning how to listen to it. If this model holds, the search team preparing to return to the site in early 2026 may finally be looking in the right place. But the deeper the data dives, the stranger the human story behind it becomes. For most of the world, MH370 is a story that stopped in 2014. For a handful of scientists, it never ended. They still wake to numbers. They fall asleep to equations. Every day begins the same way. A cursor blinking over a sea of coordinates. Oceanographers, satellite analysts, aviation engineers, each with a different discipline, each haunted by the same absence. They call it the void. Not the ocean itself, but the silence between signals. For years, they've been redrawing the same lines, replotting satellite pings, correcting Doppler drift, simulating current flow. Thousands of Monte Carlo runs, each one a micro guess at where the plane might sleep. It's not just data to them. It's a conversation with something that refuses to answer. If you listen long enough, one engineer once said, you start to feel like the ocean's whispering back, just too quiet to hear. There are nights when the teams argue over millisecond offsets, tiny imperfections in the satellite handshakes that could shift a search zone by hundreds of kilometers. Each disagreement fueled by the same truth. None of them can be sure. Some have lost funding, some have lost sleep. Yet they return to the data, to the silence, because not knowing is worse than being wrong. There is a moment they all share. The pause before each new model renders, when the screen is blank and time seems to hold its breath. It's in that pause that faith and science feel the same. Years of updates followed. Improved drift maps, new machine learning filters, ocean floor bathymetry refined to the millimeter. Still no certainty, only patterns and possibilities. Each discovery is a flicker of hope. Each dead end a grief repeated. Some of them were young when the search began. Now their hair has silver edges. But the mission has become part of who they are. "We're not chasing a plane anymore," one of them admitted. "We're chasing closure, for ourselves, as much as for the families." And then, late in 2024, one of those scientists stumbled on an old archive. Terabytes of sonar data from the 2018 expedition no one had fully reanalyzed. A simple question sparked the breakthrough. What if we read the noise again with new ears? That question lit the path to the new evidence, the one you're about to see. Science moves forward not in certainty, but in stubborn hope. And sometimes hope looks like a scientist alone at midnight, listening to the ocean through a screen. Every mystery survives on its theories. MH370 has three, each incomplete, each hauntingly plausible. The mechanical failure scenario. In this version, the aircraft itself was the victim. An electrical fire, a catastrophic decompression, a slow loss of oxygen that left everyone on board unconscious before anyone realized. The plane, still alive through its autopilot, kept flying, empty, ghosted, until fuel starvation hours later. It's called the ghost flight theory, and the Inmarsat data does fit. Steady handshakes, no manual course changes after the turn south. But then comes the anomaly. The turn itself, a controlled bank, precise, deliberate, not chaotic, not random. Someone, at least at that moment, was still awake. So if it wasn't a mechanical cascade, what was it? The human agency theory. The second theory, and the most divisive, suggests intent. A human decision made at cruising altitude. The sequence of events points to expert knowledge. Transponder disabled, ACARS disconnected, radio silence. The plane turns back over Malaysia, flies up the Malacca Strait, then south into one of the world's least monitored airspaces. Was it a hijack? A political statement? A deliberate diversion for reasons we still don't know? Investigators found no conclusive evidence of crew malice, but simulator data found at a home computer showed a flight path eerily similar to the Inmarsat route. A coincidence or foreshadowing? If this was a human decision, it was meticulous. If not, it was something the human mind still can't explain. The external intervention theory. Then there's the third path, the one rarely spoken aloud. That some external factor, intentional or accidental, altered the plane's fate. Electronic interference, a malfunction triggered by a security event, or a cascade of software failures in the 777's flight management system that no one could override. Sounds far-fetched until you consider the timeline. At exactly the moment communication stopped, the plane crossed a handover between air traffic control zones. One of the few moments in flight when no one is actively watching. Coincidence or cover? Even now, satellite engineers and aviation safety specialists debate whether an unrecorded power surge or defensive countermeasure could have temporarily blinded the aircraft to tracking systems. Nothing confirmed, nothing dismissed. Three paths, three different truths, and yet, the same data. The new evidence doesn't prove any one of them right. It simply changes their probabilities. If the new impact corridor is correct, it suggests the aircraft was still under some form of control, automated or manual, longer than previously assumed. That shifts the balance away from pure mechanical failure, but not toward conspiracy. It means something guided it there. Whether that something was a pilot's hand, A ghost autopilot or a system glitch is the question the next chapter tries to answer. It began quietly. No headlines, no cameras, just a file transfer. 4.7 terabytes of raw sonar data from the 2018 search expedition. Unreviewed, archived, forgotten, until last year. A small research collective reopened the data using tools that didn't exist when the search was first run. Neural pattern recognition algorithms trained to detect non-geological anomalies. These models can now distinguish between coral, rock, wreckage, and metal alloys used in commercial aircraft with an accuracy rate that was impossible even 5 years ago. In mid-analysis, the system paused. A blip. Shape irregular. Reflectivity distinct. Coordinates: 33.6 degrees south, 92.8 degrees east. A location: just outside the official search box. At first, the team thought it was noise, a false echo caused by topographic folds in the seabed. But when the raw amplitude data was normalized, the outline didn't vanish. It sharpened. Not proof. Not yet. But a geometry consistent with an aircraft fuselage, lying half buried in sediment. Its reflection pattern mirrored by something that looks like a wing. Across the world, in a windowless lab, a senior data scientist stared at that shape for nearly an hour before speaking. If this isn't what we think it is, then what else could make that signature? Almost immediately, independent verification began. Oceanographers cross-checked the new coordinates with the remodeled drift simulations. The match probability, 87%. The projected debris path, perfectly aligned with where fragments later washed ashore. Then came the final layer: acoustics. Hydrophones off the coast of Australia had recorded a deep band pressure wave at precisely 049 UTC, matching the estimated end of the flight's power signature. The waveform was once dismissed as random tectonic activity, but aligned with the new coordinates, it fits. That's when Ocean Infinity confirmed it. They're preparing to return in early 2026 with autonomous deep search vehicles capable of mapping the ocean floor at resolutions 10 times sharper than before. Each drone can scan 1,000 square kilometers per day, each dive a possible final chapter. But as the data converges, one question remains. Why here? Why this zone, so far from everything predicted? And why has it taken more than a decade to see what may have been visible all along? Either the algorithms have found the truth, or they've found something else. Something that obeys the math, but not the story. For years, the Indian Ocean has been a mirror, reflecting only what we wanted to believe. Now, for the first time, it may be ready to return an answer. When Ocean Infinity's fleet of autonomous underwater vehicles launches in 2026, they won't just search, they'll see. Using LiDAR-style multi-beam mapping and AI-driven pattern recognition, each drone will trace the ocean floor like a scanner reading the past. For the first time, every ripple, ridge, and anomaly will be captured in real time and streamed to surface vessels thousands of meters above. If MH370 rests there, its coordinates will no longer be the stuff of probability, but of proof. Oceanographers in Perth, hydroacoustic experts in Paris, AI modelers in Tokyo, all connected by a single mission: to close a loop that has haunted the world for over a decade. This is what science looks like when it refuses to surrender. And it isn't just about finding a plane. It's about redesigning how we look for anything that vanishes. Ships, satellites, signals, even truth itself. Every line of code written for this search will feed future missions. Deep-sea rescue operations, climate data collection, planetary mapping on Europa or Titan. The search for MH370 has already expanded our ability to see the unseen. And for those who've waited, the families, the pilots, the scientists who never stopped running the numbers, this moment isn't about closure. It's about continuity. Because searching is what keeps truth alive. Because even if the wreckage is found tomorrow, the questions will keep rising like currents. How? Why? What else have we missed? There's a quiet lesson in the depths beneath us. The unknown is not our enemy. It's the edge of our understanding. And every time we reach for it, we grow. Maybe the next signal we hear will be an answer.